All right. Ooh, we got an echo over here. First thing we're going to do today for a second is figure out this audio lag. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Whew, man, that's like half a second. All right. Try it again. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Even more. Take 3. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. We're getting closer. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's a lot better. Let's go with that for today. Still think we're going to look a little. What do you say? Subtitled here, but that's okay. All right, let's get the audio off of this guy. The monitoring machine. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of You Can't Do That on Salesforce. Today, we're back to the inefficient icon inventory, and today we're going to continue playing around with the streaming API. We're going to add some more data to our platform event and see if we can get a little closer to crazy with what we're doing with those platform events. I'd like to start by creating another user so that we can see two different users in our org, and we can name each of them. And let's start with, I'm going to go with highlighting each of the users and showing when they mouse over or mouse off of one of the squares, that will be a highlight event or an unhighlight event that will be that'll be shared. So we're gonna make the streaming API a little bit chattier today. I don't think this is going to be crazy hard, although that's might also be wishful thinking when we get into it. But let's have some fun. I'm just going to let the world know that we're streaming. Today's stream is live. Icon collaboration with the streaming API continues. Probably helps to link to the actual stream itself. Let's see who shows up. All right, let's party. Where were we? First, let's go check a look at how we got here. Here's our good old square icon. Zoom in on that one. Oop, too much zoom. Maybe we fix that today too, we'll see. So I can now click on these, change the color from black to white only, and that'll send platform events to the system, which another instance of our component can listen for, and will respond by changing the pixel colors over there too. So now, I think first things we need to do is remember how to create a new user in DX for a Scratch org. Let's do that. Call it set alias user2. It's cooking. Maybe. I got 2 days left on this Scratch org, so hopefully we're still good. Okay, got it. And I'm gonna go off screen because I don't want my super secret password to get out to the whole world here. Let's see. Alright, now we can log in with another user, and let's also arm that user with our permission set that they need to use the icon inventory. So they need to be an III admin. We're running a little slow today. I think I say that every stream. It was not that slow for us all day today. Okay, current assignment, let's add. I think this is my next new user. Okay, so let's log in as that user and make sure we can actually get somewhere. I'm going to fire up a new incognito window, and we need to log in here. And our username is something crazy, and our password is, oh wait, we gotta, I think I gotta reset the password too, right? Is that part of the deal? Yeah, reset password. Generate password. Let's do this. Oh, whoops. Target username. Forgot that. Forgot that flag. Got it? Got it. Okay, verification code. There we go. Okay. All right, last pass. Give me a password. I wasn't really born in Rochester, but that's close enough to where I live now. Okay, there. That fun stuff is done. Now let's get in here and let's see if we can do some work. Man, this is real slow. I don't know what is going on. Oof, this is kind of brutal. What on earth? I don't think our component has even loaded yet. It might be, oh, you know what? I think I might be missing some permissions in this permission set that give access to the components in question, or at least the Apex code. So let's make sure that's cool. Kind of killing me, Salesforce. Seriously, what's going on? Maybe it's my bandwidth. Maybe I'm not connected right here. Plug a few things in. Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick experiment. I'm gonna turn my video off a second here. Let's see how that did. We're having audio issues, bandwidth issues. All right, I'm gonna switch back. Audio. let's see, we get the video back? Maybe? Our Fuji webcam wants to come back. There we go. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let's try, so I'm going to try a bandwidth check one more time. Yeah, I guess bandwidth is running a little low today. All right. Fiber's not quite up to speed, but we'll do the best we can. All right, let's give this permission set access to the Apex class that runs it. It runs the component. Hopefully we get back in action here with our other user. Hopefully this starts loading a little faster too. There we go. All right, we're zooming in. Here, this is my user 2. This is my user 1. If I fill these up, my user 2 should... Oh wait, I have more permissions to set here now that I'm thinking about it. Because I think this user does not know about the platform event objects. Let's see. Do I have to set permission on those? Yes, we do. We're going to do a lot of pausing for dramatic effect today. There we go. See, are we getting one step closer? Now we refresh this, it should see, user 2 should see that all of these are filled, and it does. I'll come back to user 1 and unfill those boxes, and that happened over here. Now quick sanity check. 1, 2, 3, 4. There they go. Alright, cool. As fast as the internet is allowing us to work today, we've still got our semi-real-time streaming API mojo happening. So cool. Alright, 2 different users now. So let's add. Let's take a look at our platform object here. Our pixel event. So this is right now sending the icon we're working on, the pixel that we're interacting with, and we started out with just a color that we were passing. I think we should pass a. We can still pass color, and we could actually have the. We probably could have the component. I was thinking about how do you pick a color for each user that's kind of dynamic. Maybe we can use some field on the user record to decide that for us. Maybe just to be really simple for the time being, I'll assign a color to each user, and then we'll figure out how to make that more dynamic. But I think we could still send color. I think I want to send an event type, or maybe just a type field, because we have a click event. This was all built assuming we had a click event. Now we want to add a mouse over and a mouse leave, or a hover and a leave event. So let's add a type to this. I'm just going to make it text in case we invent more down the road. And we'll call this type. We'll let it be 255, but we probably won't make it that long. Okay. Now let's update our let's update our code. First things first, let's update our existing code to send a click. We're going to set type as click. So that's going to be, I think actually we're doing that in the, no wait, let's see. Where did we do that? Oh, we're doing that in our flow, right? Yeah, we have a flow that whenever the color is changed, then we save it. I don't think we want to update the record every time it's every time something is hovered on. We could have multiple people hovering at the same time. So, or I should say, we don't want to save the pixel record every time we hover. So let's go over here first. This is a little, we're going to be doing some hover and leave events around this click event, which is probably fine, but let's see what we can do. Okay, pixel event, we've got a new field, type. I'm going to say click. Let's save this as a new version. Activate that. Man, oh man, what is going on? All right, I think we're active now. Okay, so let's make sure this all still works with our new click. Right now, our front end is not responding in any way to the click. This is still working. Can I send them back? Let's send them back the other way. Yep. Yeah, super cool. Okay, so let's update our code to, let's look at that type. This is going to be a catch-all for everything. So what we have this callback that's applied to the to our screaming the streaming API subscription that our component registers, subscribes with when the component is first created on the page. So it's now subscribed, and this is the code that it's going to run when it's time to run. And I probably should do this as like an arrow function, so I don't have to do this whole this underscore this nonsense and loses context. But anyway, so we're still looking at the icon ID comes in, the pixel ID, color. So if the record is the record that we care about, the one that we're looking at right now, then we should actually do something with that information. So I think now we want to say if the record ID is the current ID and the type equals click, then do something. So nothing extravagant there. We're just adding some more detailed logic. Okay. And let's test that, make sure we're still happy. So now we should be getting clicks included here. feel like I should make the zoom default to a bigger number. All right, let's do this. And there we are. Let's go back. And good. Okay. Clicking is still working. So now what do we have to do? We need to create hover and leave events. To do that, we're gonna have to write our own pixel events in here. So I'm gonna add a couple of Aura enabled. So let's write pixel hover, and we'll also write pixel leave. Okay, and then we will admit that we have completely forgotten how to insert an Apex or insert a platform event in Apex. We will use the Google gods to do that for us, because we have to publish, not just write, but otherwise it's all the same thing. So let's get our, okay, we're going to create a new pixel event. I think, what do we need to pass in? We need to pass in the icon ID, the pixel ID, and then the same goes for the leave event. So we need a pixel event. Should make sure that's actually the name. We could, I suppose, get clever and actually make a flow that does this and then call the flow from Apex, but that's a little, that's one too many layers of indirection, I suppose, for all that. Our platform event is called Pixel Event, and its API name is something. Just checking that, we got that right. Okay, and then we're going to give it the icon ID, pixel ID, the type. This is hover. I'm going to space these out because it's hard to read. Okay, hover, and the color, I guess the color in this case could be the color of the user that we that did the thing. So let's do this. We'll pass in a color also. And I think when we leave, we don't really need to have a color. We can just do this. Okay. The color will go back to normal. The component will decide. There'll be no color. There'll be no border on the on whatever we're dealing with. All right. Oops. Get rid of that. So we got to hover, we got to leave, and then we just got to publish it, right? Yep. This is a little chattier because it's going to be doing hovers and leaves every time we go in and out of a pixel. So I told you this was going to get nasty. That's what we're going for, right? Okay, that's saved. Now on the front end, we need a couple of events, right, to handle this whole thing. So let's do, we have a click already. So let's do a pixel hover. And a pixel leave. All right, and then in each of those, so we do have a Salesforce ID of the we have the Salesforce ID of the pixel. We have the Salesforce, the record ID, which is the icon. So we need to pass those in. And we need to call our own, or do we? I didn't even think about this. Can we just call create record? Can I do that? I forget. Is that a wire event in LWC? We might not need that. Oh, hold the phone. We might not need our. But can you publish? This is for creating a record. I wonder if you can. Can you publish a platform? Maybe. What about the EMP API? What about the electromagnetic pulse API? What can we do with that? Maybe it's got something built in. It does not. Okay. I want to publish a platform event from a LWC. Can we do that? What do you think? Stack Exchange. The EMP API component provides access to methods for subscribing to a streaming channel. The EMP component uses a shared streaming connection, enabling you to run multiple streaming, is not shared across users. Apex, you can either use Event Bus, publish, or you can consume the API. So, I guess we're using Apex. So, never mind. Back to regularly scheduled programming. We got to call our thing. That's fine. Okay. So we'll drop these in there. Oh, I got to make a reference to my calls first. We've got 2 of them. Right pixel hover. And right pixel leave. There we go. And we can call those. Gonna kind of fire and forget on these. Do we get a user? We need a user, I think. I don't think our platform events know anything about... Oh, there's a created by. We'll have to check the payload and see if created by actually comes through. I'll have to check that. We can see. We'll do a little debugging when we get to that point. So maybe we don't need a user field, but we need. Well, we got icon ID, pixel ID. We should get pixel ID from the event itself. It should be coming in with that. It's on the data set. I'll do that down here too. And then we're passing in a color, which is what color we want to highlight with. So I'm just going to make it always highlight with red. Eventually we'll get that to be a color per user. But for now, so the color we're just gonna make red for now. So let's first see if we get. We also have to plan on reacting to these, which I just scrolled right over. Where'd you go? Where's my where's my subscription? Here it is. Message callback. All right, let's tidy this up a little bit because I want to test a couple of layers here. So we're gonna say if this icon ID equals the record we're looking at. If it's a click, do this thing. If it's a hover, we're going to do something different. We're reusing pixel element style. So I think we'll have to make another. Let's see. Pixel element style does a background color and then sets, finds the element in question and then sets that. So I feel like we need to. This is going to get interesting because we're going to probably start tripping over some of our CSS. So we need something like set pixel hover style. This is really more like set pixel click style. So let's change that up so it makes a little more sense, and then try to recall where we referenced that. I think it's just in these two spots. So there we go. So we've got a pixel click style. Now we need a hover style. Now the fun part here is, so I feel like we may need to kind of break up the CSS components so that we can store them as their own properties, because we really need to build the whole style tag or attribute, because I'm going to have some stuff that's background color white, and then I need to apply or unapply a red border. I have something that's black, and then I need to apply or unapply the same red border or a blue border or something like that. So I think we're going to break that out a little bit so we can, what we ultimately want to do is be able to just say write the style of this, write the style attribute of this component, and then we can have, we can probably just have a style. Do we want that? We could either have a style property or just have have a method that does that. So I'm going to add a few more. Let's see. Let's say background, style, background, color, style, border. I think that's it, because a border we can do all in one phrase, and then in background color is just one value also. So let's see, where do we write? Okay, so we're writing, when we build our pixel matrix, we first figure out what the style of the pixel is. So I want to capture the color value as we loop. Wait a minute. This is for the icon, not the pixel. So we can't do this up here. Silly. I think what we might need to do is, I think we can parse out those values, right? And then we just may have to put it back together again. So, all right, let's go down here. Pixel click. Probably going to break this a little bit when we first do this, but let's... so we know our hover style needs to be something like border. I'm just going to go with a solid 1 pixel and then our color here. And then the element that we care about. See, there's a lot. I think this whole thing, we can refactor this into one call, and it can always check for, well, what are you doing, right? So we get the element, we can interpret these style values, I think. I gotta do a little JavaScript lookup for that, and then we can just build it, build it back. It's not super efficient, but it'll do the job. All right, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna set the style. This is the problem right now. We're setting the style. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna wipe this out as soon as I make this change. I'm not gonna set the data set color, because in our original implementation we were tracking that for flip-flopping from white to black. That's going to change when we start to allow other colors in here. But for now, let's do this the other way too, right? Set pixel leave style. And we really don't need a color for that. We're just going to set it to 0. We'll just set the border to 0 pixels. Or when we write it, we'll take that style off. But for right now, let's see. So we're just passing red, I think, is our favorite color for the highlights. So pixel hover writes a pixel hover event. Pixel leave should write a pixel leave event. We don't need the color on the leave. Okay. The dog wants to come in. There we go. Okay, let's try this out. Now, what this is doing right now, it's only sending it to, it's only gonna send it to the other, it's gonna publish an event. It's not gonna reflect on my view. So if I'm in here as user 1, this shouldn't affect my view, but if I look at it as user 2, whoops, then we should see it impacted there. let's see what happens. Also, let's fire up our console and we can see some things in motion here potentially. See if we're actually hitting. Oh, I'm not going to hit any of these events because I haven't told the component what to do. So let's do on mouse. On mouse enter is pixel hover. And then on pixel leave. Is that right? Am I using the right events for that? I think so. On mouse enter, on mouse leave. Wait for Salesforce to save. There it goes. Refresh both of our browsers, see what we get. Somewhere in here is my console. There we go. Okay, let's put a couple of breakpoints out here. Make sure we're actually hitting these. Pixel hover, pixel leave. Zoom, 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 zoom. Pixel hover. You got it. Alright, that should now fire. And then I pixel left because I am no longer looking at it. So now I'm curious if anything happened over here. Probably not. I think we want to hold on the leave so that we can make sure that the hover is actually working. And we can listen for that change to occur. So oh, right leave hover. That's never gonna work either. Right pixel leave. So we want to do that ultimately, but let's just look at what the hover's doing here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh both. I'm going to initiate the interaction from user 2, and then we can hopefully observe it come through on user 1 in the console. So we'll take out the leave. Let's just save that as refreshing. So this is user 1 that's not incognito. This is user 2 that is incognito. And move this aside for a second. My console is hiding again. Here it is. Actually, we can see the pixel hover working. At least we made it that far. Now let's see if we receive it on the other end. So I'm going to zoom in here as user 2, hover over something. I'm hovering. Okay, we got something. Let's see. We got our response data payload. We got to do our fun little Okay, we are getting hover. We do get a created by ID, so that's cool. We can use that a little bit later. And we're getting a color passed in, so groovy. This is the record we're dealing with. We are doing a hover event. I am not calling what I need to call here, so we're not going to see anything happen. Yahoo! And then here comes another one, and they just kind of piled up and did their thing there. So, okay, let's fix our code. Let's actually call what we need to call. So we got set pixel click style. Now I want to set pixel hover style. And while I'm here, we'll set pixel leave style. This one I don't think takes a... This one does not take a Salesforce, or a color, because we're just going back to nothing. Okay. Alright. So now did that save? That's saved. Okay. Refresh here. Refresh here. And zoom here. Zoom here. Oop! I hovered over something. I don't know where I did it, but I did it. Let's see. We both hovered over something. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. Hover. So, okay, actually, I am writing... Yeah, I didn't even think about this. I am writing... this is already happening. I'm no matter what, I'm writing a pixel event, and this component is responding to its own... it's just... I'm putting on a platform event when I do this. And, alright, is it going to make a liar out of me here? Let's go here. Okay, I was kind of expecting the... Here they go. Maybe it was just real slow today. It seems crazy slow. Now, you see the other one in the corner there. I hovered over everything, so it did two things. One, it did one thing we wanted it to do, which was highlight. It did a thing we didn't want it to do, which is take away the color that makes up the background. So we definitely have to parse out the style that's applied to the pixel. So no big deal. We can fix this. And then this should get a whole bunch of... There they go. Did I get them all? Yep. So many. Okay. Then let's hover over one. Boop. Definitely a little delayed there, but that's okay. Okay, so we are hovering. We're not leaving yet because we aren't actually calling that, and we do need to do a little work on our figuring out can we parse out the JavaScript, or can we parse out the CSS in JavaScript and retain whatever we need to. I'm doing that in where? We're already doing that somewhere. At least we're setting it. Where are we setting it? Just element.style. So I think, let's see. JavaScript element style. What does that get us? Element.style. Yeah, I think it's all in here. We just have to figure out what we're what's what, right? How to set style on element using JavaScript. Thanks, tab 9. Style.font size. So we need fonts. No, we need border color, border thickness, border style. Well, somewhere these are all listed, and we will find them. I can probably decipher them from some debugging. So let's do that real quick. Let's see. Somewhere in here we can find these values. Here, let's look into one of these. So when we set the pixel hover style, let's make that fire off. Boop. Okay. Here we go. Style done. Let's see. What do we got? We got border color, border width, border style. Okay, border style, border width. So it feels like we need something like, this is not right yet, set pixel style, and that's going to be border color, we have to set, border style, we have to set, border width, we have to set, and then background color is also the other one we're dealing with. I think that's it. We're changing the color. Right? We're changing the color. We're changing, is background color, do I have that right? Background color, okay. And then just the border, so okay. Cool. Piece of cake. So now what we need each of these to do is kind of like roll up to, like, each of these sort of sets the intent of what needs to happen, and our element was going to drive what we need to we can just, let's see, for hover I can say element dot, right, this is not that hard, element dot, where are you, element dot border color style width. So let's set these here. We don't have to, let's not make this really complicated. Element dot style, because that can be the whole style, we can just pass that in, but let's do this. Whoops. Let's do element dot style dot border color, element dot style dot border style, element dot style dot border width. So the color equals, well, in this case it equals nothing. I think we can, this is the leave event, so I'm going to copy these up to the hover event. So I want the color to be the color. I want the style to be solid. And then I want the width to be 1 pixel. I think that's all of that. And then hopefully when we leave, we just want to set the border width equal to 0 pixels. Let's try these. And then one more, the click style. We need to make the... I could probably get a little more clever here and do some toggling of the two colors, but you know, let's see what. Let's try this. Background color. Now the dog wants out. Style that background color equals color. There. So now we're not overwriting the whole style every time we make a change. We don't need to do this. We're just adjusting as we go. And let's put, we can see the hover is hovering. Let's retry this and see if the hover is not taking the color away. I guess that would be the first thing. If that's good, then we'll put the leave event in. If that's good, then we'll get a couple different colors going based on our users, and then we'll do some other stuff from there. There's a chicken. There's a chicken over here looking at me. Okay, refresh. Refresh user 2, refresh user 1. And we'll make sure that our style stuff is working. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom. And hover. Let's see how our hover did. It looks pretty good. Cool. Yep. We're hovered over where we were. Definitely need to figure out a color per user. That one's got me thinking. Okay, hover works. Let's try leave. So let's go back over here and we'll put that back. I'm going to go ahead and just blame the stream on my bandwidth, and we'll are you done saving yet? Come on. Wow. It's like I can hear the bandwidth just not doing anything today. One time I was doing this and literally my scratch org went away, like while I was trying to push to the scratch org. There's four chickens over here. I wish I could show you the birds. It's like they want to come in. I don't know. I'm going to refresh this and hope that maybe it's just the DX just had a coronary. There's one. There's two. And hover. We got a hover event. I don't think we wrote the leave event, which probably means we didn't. This is ridiculous. Come on. Let's save this again. Oops. I don't know what button I just pushed, but it certainly wasn't save. There we go. All right. Refresh. Refresh. I feel like I had to like mouse nowhere near the events that we're trying to fire off, so I don't accidentally set them off. It's like a little bit of a minefield here. Okay, there's our two now. Ready? Let's go over here and hover and leave. And type is hover. Yay. It's not right in the leave event. Let's check this. Make sure it's actually getting there. Oh, it did write the hover. Didn't write the leave. That was the hover. And there's me leaving. I don't think that's writing. Let's check our Apex code, see if we have anything. Oh, is our color required? Color might be a required field. Yeah, it is, and it shouldn't be, I don't think, because we're not always going to use it. That's probably it. Okay, let's refresh again. Hopefully now we get our leave event. Zoom, 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 zoom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we know we're getting into pixel leave, so let's go up and check if we're getting the type. Right. Boop. Hover and leave. We're hovering. And we're leaving. So we're hovering, we can see it here. I hope I didn't just throw it for a loop. And then we're leaving. Yay! Awesome. I'm going to try to get these two on screen together, and then we can just see how well or not well these react. I'm going to turn off the debugger and just kind of take a lap through one side to the other. Uh-oh. Well, trying. I think the bandwidth gods are not having any of this today. One thing we can do is we should skip any. Well, should we? I guess we can. My thought was don't highlight the current user in the current user's view, right? Because it's me. I know that I'm there. I know where my mouse is. I can see it. Only show it on the other user's view. So with the created by ID, assuming we can get the current user's ID out of LWC. I don't know if I've ever done that. I don't know. But we would want to do a test to say, like, is this the current icon? If this platform event was not created by the current user, do something with it. And then that would lighten the load a little bit too for the it also wouldn't cause like that funky, delayed user interaction that we saw here. I'm going to try this again. So in the course of that little walk that I just took with my mouse, we sent 16 hover events and then 16 leave events. And I'm not really sure what's going on right now in the context of the component. So I think it's dead, Jim. We'll see. We'll see what comes back. But it certainly isn't doing much right now. I don't have a debug on here, do I? No. All right, let's refresh. We'll try it again. Zoom, 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 zoom. I already hovered over one, it looks like. Must have been when I was zooming. Hover and leave. Now I'm beginning to have a doubt that this is suddenly not working. Let's see. Let's watch this here. We're going to hover and leave. The type is hover. Boom. The type is leave. Boom. So it's probably just not getting the event. I'm going to go a little slower. Across here. So that should have sent 4 hovers and 4 leaves to my component up above here. But I don't think it's doing that. Let's go the other way. It seems the other thing I was wondering is, does the if the platform events come in fast, I wonder if they get bulked up. Let's check that. Because it could just be that it's just going too fast, you know? And maybe the platform says, hey, we got all of these within a certain period of time. Here comes the whole payload of them. Let's try that. Zoom, 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 zoom. And zoom, 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 zoom. Okay. We are ready to receive our response. I would be surprised if it does send many of them. But let's find out. Alright, we're going to scroll across these. Enter, leave, enter, leave, enter, leave. Just curious, what does this payload look like? Whoops, can't type. No, it's just one record. I wonder, I had to review this stream and see if you can hear the kids playing video games in there. We had 2 8-year-olds very intensely listening or playing something. I don't know what, Fortnite or something. Okay, back to real, very serious work. That was a hover. And it hovered. That's another hover. So I wonder, it's curious that the... well, let's see. I think what it's doing is it's reacting to the next hover before the first leave. That's my theory. I'm sticking with it. That was a leave, so I'm guessing that was the previous leave. So we're going to see over here. I'm pointing like you all can see. Over here. Careful not to click. We should see now the first pixel unhover, and the second pixel from the left. The first pixel from the left unhovers, and the second pixel stays hovered. And it did. And then here comes a leave. So we should be leaving this second one. Here comes a hover. Here comes a leave. Here comes a hover. And here comes a leave. And I think that was it. I think that was all we did. All right, so it worked that time. Now we'll try it again. coming in, hover. Second, second, second pixel hovered. I definitely went left to right. So let's see what happens now. Here comes the first pixel. And now it unhovers. Okay. So there's a little bit of there, I wonder. Alright, third is coming in. Second turns off. Third turns off. Fourth is coming in. Fourth turns off. Alright, so not exactly sequential. We could probably do some things. I mean, so one thing I'm doing is firing forgetting those events. I don't check for anything. I don't know that it would necessarily matter if I checked for anything, but that could change things a little bit. We might also say, hey, don't fire every time you just hover in. Maybe what we do is like a debounce situation on that. So we're not going to report the fact that you're hovered over this pixel for like 3 seconds, or even 1 second might help, because then we're not like sending quite as much data. So this is an exercise in pain with the of giving the streaming ID or API some heartburn, because there goes 8 events, right? When we hovered across there, hover, leave, hover, leave, hover, leave, hover, leave. And when that happens, then we've got 8 events that just fired. And I had no intent of doing anything with any of those pixels. So I may not want to report them if they were that fast. Maybe we can add that as a future update where we debounce on the or do a debounce event to say, like, are you still here after half a second or something like that. It's kind of like when you're doing autotype or autocomplete. You know, you don't want to immediately report every letter, because, you know, if I can type really fast, I can probably get 10 letters out and only have to send one call. If I'm slow, well, then, you know, I'd send one at a time. Same could be true here. It is interesting, though, that and I can understand, right? Every one of those interactions is an independent call to the to Apex to execute. So yeah, hypothetically, there's no notion of a transaction between those, so it doesn't understand that they're sequential. It's just like, hey, the second pixel's hover was processed before the first pixel's leave, and that's just how it worked. That's not how we would expect it to work. We would expect hover, leave, hover, leave, hover, leave, but that's not exactly the case. So again, this is not really the intent of the streaming API to have this level of granularity, but it does work, and we can still do some interesting stuff with it. I don't think I would track a mouse movement for sure. We're not going to build any real-time, gaming. Well, or are we? Tune in tomorrow. Spoiler alert. But this is a good exercise to see just kind of like how responsive the streaming API works. Also, my bandwidth is garbage today. I don't know why. In other experiments, we've seen this work. We've seen this work faster. You know what we haven't done is like a hover click leave. Let's do that. Let's make sure that still works. So I'm gonna go across this row. I'll go to my incognito window, and I'm gonna hover over each one. I'm gonna click, and then I'm gonna leave. Let's see what we did. Hover, click, leave, hover, click, leave, hover, click, leave, hover, click, leave. All right. And now we're going to take a nap, apparently, because this is taking its sweet time to come over to our component here. There it is. Hello, you're alive. There's our hover. Now we did a leave. We did a hover. We did a leave. We did a hover. We did a click. Which one did we click? The third one. Interesting. We did a click. The first one, we did a click. The second one, we did a leave. Yep. We did a hover. A click. And a leave. Huh. So even though I went very methodically through that, even still the platform events piled up and got a little out of sync. Let's take a look at the platform event, because there's two ways to... So there's also this publish... So this could be it. This could be the issue. This indicates when the platform event... I'm just reading on screen. Duh. So publish after commit, only after the transaction commits successfully. That could be a little slower. Immediately is whether or not it succeeds. So in our case, this immediately is probably fine. There's really no reason to wait for a commit of the platform event, because our data is pretty inconsequential, and we can actually kind of see that when we do this with after commit, that it's slowing it down. And I think we should flip this if it'll let me. I'm curious if it's going to let me change this now. The only time we save a... So here's the other thing that's at play, right? Our click event issues a save action on our pixel. And in doing so, there's, we're in a longer transaction now. We're saving the record and we're creating a pixel event through a flow. So I might expect my clicks to have come in later. But let's change this and see what happens. It might take 5 minutes, which is cool, because then we can take a quick... we'll take a slightly later break here, and then we'll come back. All right, so let's save this. We might need 5 minutes for that to take effect. I'm gonna go grab a drink and shake my router and see if I can make it run faster. And we're back. Wow, how about that focus? Let's bring that camera back online, shall we? I'm a real person, not covered in bokeh. All right, we changed to publish immediately. Let's see what kind of trouble we just got ourselves into, or not. All right. Zoom in on each of these. And let's go. So we're all dialed in for the event. So this is published immediately now. So let's see what happens. Here we go. We should be. See if this runs faster. Okay, I went across the whole path, so that definitely was more responsive right off the bat. I've got a hover event, and then I've got a leave event. I didn't click anything. I only got one of those. I'm gonna do it again. First hover, another hover, another hover, a leave, another hover, a leave, and a leave. Okay, so still, I think faster. Let's try this without any debug. If I go across here, interesting. It's almost like when we have some breakpoints, it can catch up and do what it needs to. Still working through them. So I think it's safe to say you probably shouldn't rely too real-timey on these on the streaming API. Where'd I go? I'm all fuzzy again. There we are. Seriously, where'd I go? There we are. And also it feels like it's lost a couple here. Like these are... Oh, I'm going to make a real mess now. There they go. So yeah, I don't know if one's better than the other. It almost feels like the immediately is a little bit more kind of haphazard versus the after commit. But let's go across there again. Hover, click, hover, click, hover, click, hover, click. Got the hovers. Still waiting on a couple. I think it's waiting on those clicks because there's more to do, right? We have to pass the event. Or I'm sorry, we are creating the pixel event after the save of the record. Probably if we move that forward to create the pixel event as part of the code, just like the hover and the leave, maybe it would perform a little bit better. But even with just this little experiment, all signs are pointing to don't talk that much in the streaming API. It just, it's not meant for that kind of that kind of throughput. And let's be honest, in a real world situation, none of this matters, right? I wouldn't never build something that depends on the sequentialness of platform events firing in sequence. That seems dangerous. I would want to operate in a asynchronous way without that kind of expectation where possible. If I care about sequence, I think I'm going to use some other structure to make very sure that either a batch job that's running over records that have some more permanence to them, rather than these platform events that they're pretty ethereal. They disappear as soon as they're published, right? And they publish, they broadcast, they're gone. So maybe not great for now. So what would maybe be an interesting experiment here is to we could pit publish event or bleh, we could pit platform events against a custom object. That might be interesting to just see how the two perform against one another. Well, the thing we can't do with a custom object is listen for the changes easily. So right off the bat, we lose some functionality there. But this has been interesting. This has been insightful, I hope. Either way, it's still cool, I still think we can figure out the whole. Let's get a couple different colors for each user, and then we can actually see where users are. And I think we do need a little bit of debounce mojo in there to say, what are you intending to do something on the pixel that you're working on? Because this kind of volume obviously is a little too much. And then I still think there's a case for. I almost feel like maybe going back to that after commit will work a little bit better. I'm gonna flip back to that. Maybe. Let's go back and compare this again. Up to a 5-minute delay for the change to take effect. Okay. I accept these terms. I think at the end of the day, I don't know if one's for our purposes, if one's really any better than the other. I guess I could argue that the immediate is better because we want more, faster reaction in the browser. The fact, if I was going to keep using immediate, I think I would write a different mechanism for publish that click event differently, so it was happening more just faster, right? It could happen directly from the Lightning Web component instead of waiting for the transaction to. Basically, it's right now it's happening in an after event on the pixel object through a flow. So there's more layers there to work through. But hey, it's an interesting lesson in transaction speed and platform event responsiveness and the sequencing of those events. The firing of them and even the calling of them doesn't get. Now I say all that, but I just had another thought. Might be missing something. Hold the phone. Apex publish immediate? What's the event bus class? I feel like there's another way to... No, it's just publish. I lied. Publish immediate is for, what is it? External objects. Never mind. Never mind. Just checking to see if maybe there's anything in the save result, too. Save result contains information about whether the operation was successful. If success returns true, the publish request is queued. If success is false, governor limits apply. I don't think we're hitting any limits. I mean, I guess we're going to be... Our limits are not in our transaction. Our limits are perhaps at the overall org limit. This isn't to say that like the platform events are robust. I just don't think they're sequential or guaranteed sequential. Like I said, normally that's going to be fine, but in our case, where we need this kind of reaction, it doesn't work. How do we pick random colors for users? Or guarantee them that they are unique? We could put a color field on the user. That seems silly. We could... I wanted to just like figure out some kind of like maybe a signature that combines the user's ID and the time when they got into the component. Maybe it's the, it won't be guaranteed unique, but at least it could be calculated to say like take a timestamp and the user's ID and smash them together and boil it down to some kind of hexadecimal value that just so happens to be a color that we're looking for. We could have users report in, right? I wonder, it's not really, that's like an icon event, not a pixel event. So if somebody accesses a icon, we say what icon are they working on. But we won't know. Yeah, we wouldn't know. A user who joins an icon with that model won't know that there are other people in on that icon, unless we store it a different way. We could have an icon user, and each time somebody, jumps in, we could see what the fact that they're there, and that we could track that. And then maybe there's a heartbeat that comes from being an icon user. That's something that we can write to while they're interacting with the icon. And if they're not interacting, then maybe eventually that icon user is no longer active. So that's something to think about. We need some kind of timeout situation in the component to say, is this person still here? And maybe it's if they're not moving, if they're not interacting, then no, they're not. They're gone. And then issue like a delete call from the icon user list. That would be interesting. We could check for movement and either create, update, or delete those records. All right. That would be a good way to say you could come into an icon. So that also gives us a nice place to put the color of the person. I'm talking myself into this. We're going to create an icon user object. Let's see here. So an icon user represents, will be a junction between the icon and an icon record and a user record, and it will let us keep track of who's actively interacting with the icon, and then we can also create some kind of threshold there that says when's the last time the user has reported in on the icon. If it's not right now or in some current time, then we can assume that user is inactive, and there's probably some icon user events that we want to throw or publish so that other users can subscribe to that. So let's do that. Right, icon username. Let's make this a probably won't get super far through this one today, but we can finish up with this add to our data model, and we'll call it good. And we'll also spend a whole lot of time waiting around for things to save, which is like my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. Look, did I forget to click something? What is going on? This is shocking. It's got to be me. It's got to be me. It's got to be the stream and all the bandwidth that my network is choking on right now. I was just trying to see. I don't have my phone to tell me. Red alert, your network is dying. Okay, we did get our object. Let's create some fields. Let's create a lookup to the icon, lookup to the user. Probably should just make this master detail to the icon. I want any user who's interacting with the icon to know who else is also. So it's reasonable to all right, let's that is an icon. Okay. I've gotten so used to it not working that I realize I haven't been paying attention to it actually saving. So that's good news. Did I click this or what? Well, that's weird. Let's see, did it actually save it? No. Org locked. Huh? Alright, try again. Is there like, should I go to trust? Like, is there like massive like Salesforce drama going on right now? Probably. This has gotta just be me, right? Yeah, Salesforce is happy. Nothing going on. It must just be me. All right, trying again. There, we got our icon. Let's create a lookup to a user. Do this through my permission set, if we can get over there. Okay. Let's grant access to our icon user record and fields. And there we go. So next time, what did we do today? We added some events to our icons, so we can hover. We can observe hovering and leaving. We learned that the streaming API doesn't react quite as fast as user interactions when they hover and leave elements on a page. Nor should we probably have expected that to work. But it was interesting to see how the immediate versus the after commit fires. It's interesting to see the fact that our when we click, that goes through DML for a record save and then uses a flow to publish the event. So there's a little bit of delay there. I think we'll do some debounce next time. I'm going to take some notes. Let's get to our README here. Stuff for next time. We should our backlog. Hey, look at that. We should debounce our hovers to confirm intent. We are going to do our icon user stuff. So we will for presence on an icon, presence, and also a timeout, and we can do color. We can do highlight on there. We probably could do something even more interesting than just a highlight, right? Like we could have like a little icon, like in the top right corner of an icon could be the person's face or something. Something like that. But icon user is intended for us just to tell us that Bob and Sue are both interacting with this icon right now. beyond that, the platform events tell us Bob is interacting with this particular pixel, and Sue is whatever, just hovering about doing nothing, watching. And then that is kind of like a timeout situation, right? To say, hey, component, you should decide if Sue is really here or not. And you're only responsible for the user in question. Although I think we do have to figure out, like, how do I get, if Sue comes in and Sue has, well, no, we just do like a heartbeat, right? So instead of ruling it out, we could actually have all the components have some responsibility for cleaning up the user list and say, if I come in as Bob and the component evaluates if Sue is still there, it could see that Sue hasn't had a heartbeat in, 5 minutes or something like that. Therefore, we'll issue a cleanup event on that icon to get rid of Sue from it. We could do stuff like that. That'd be kind of neat. And then we can keep a color for each person that comes in, and figure out how to, maybe we just have a pool of colors that we pull. Hey, we got a bunch of colors in the app. We can figure out what color to use there, apply that to the user, to the icon user, and then I can see, in the context of that, icon, what are they currently doing with it. So yeah, some stuff so we'll do debounce for hovers, we'll do icon user for presence and highlight. One thing we still don't have is generating a new icon, right? Like that is, I think I just manually did that last time, so that's probably something we should be able to go in and say, like, I want to do a 16 by 16 icon instead of the 4 by 4 that we have right now. That's manual right now, so we should build something that takes care of that. We still need to support more than 2 colors. Right now, you can have anything you want as long as it's in black or white. So we can do more of that. And what else could we come up with? That's probably a pretty good backlog. So we'll hit some more of that next Tuesday. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're gonna do a 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. session of you can't do that on Salesforce. Just gonna try another time. I'm gonna introduce a third project. So in addition to the icon inventory and the Enforceopoly, which we'll keep doing on Thursdays, I've got one more game that I think we'll be able to move a little faster through. Monopoly's hard. That's what I've come to learn about Monopoly, Forceopoly, I'm sorry, and programming it, especially committing to just using all flows, is like, whoa, this is there's a lot here. So I want to introduce another game that is a little easier, a little more short-lived, and maybe we can get into a little bit of tournament style play for this game. So yeah, we'll bring that in starting tomorrow. And I don't want to give it away, but you can check out, you can't do that on YCDTOSF.com to get a little more detail. Otherwise, we're done. Have a good night. See you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern.